This is an introduction to DocLogic, the report building tool in FlowLogic. In the center of the screen is the page, and this is surrounded by 3 different panels. On the left, click the icons to select from dot plots, histograms and overlays, along with components from PlateLogic and GraphLogic. Clicking the GateLogic icon displays the list of projects and experiment folders, along with the list of populations and overlays located at the bottom of the screen. Within the PlateLogic tab, we have the list of plates, along with associated statistics tables and summary tables. And within the GraphLogic tab are the data tables, along with associated statistical analysis summaries and graphs. To add an element to a report, click to highlight and drag it to a location on the page. Multiple items can also be added at once. Click to select an item in order to format it, or click and drag to select multiple items at once. Use the Delete key on the keyboard to remove the items, or use the icon in the toolbar. Above the toolbar is an option to show or hide all of the gates, and you can select a particular level or levels in a hierarchy for all samples by clicking the Highlight Level button. Within the toolbar, there are 3 blocks of icons. The first contains elements that can be added to a report, such as text boxes, tables, keyword text boxes, arrows, rectangles, and imported pictures. The next block contains icons used to align selected elements and distribute them horizontally and vertically, group and ungroup, and reorder, including bring to front, send to back, bring forward, and send backwards. There are also horizontal and vertical guides. To add these guides, click on the icon and then click on the page. Click and drag to move a guide, or click and delete to remove it. The third block of icons allows to copy, cut, paste and clone selected items, and the option to copy and paste settings from one item to a selection or to all items in a selection of documents. And finally, there is the delete icon. Next to the icons are options to add plot stat tables and arrange elements in a grid. To the right of the screen, we have our list of documents and icons in the toolbar above this list where we can add a new document, insert a document, export a document, and delete a document. And documents can be renamed by double-clicking and typing a new name. And below is the page preview, and again, we can add or insert a new page, export a selected page, or delete a selection of pages. The page preview window also doubles as the formatting panel, and this is specific for the type of element selected. So here, if I add and click within a dot plot, you can see the specific plot formatting options. And here, I can lock the aspect ratio, resize a plot, and change the gate label text size. If I select and insert a graph, I can click on the different components or the words in the corners of the graph window to display the corresponding formatting panel. So, by clicking on the bar, I can change the bar color, and by clicking on the x-axis label, I can change the font and the label angle. I can also choose to display a legend or even change the graph type. These graph formatting panels mirror those in GraphLogic, and any change made to a graph in DocLogic will update the graph in GraphLogic. Now, if I add a text box, the formatting panel allows me to update the font size, type, style, color, and alignment. The text box background color can also be set. And these are examples of the types of settings that can be copied from one element and pasted to matching elements. Clicking the Insert Table icon allows you to define the dimensions and add a table to the report. There are additional formatting options for tables, such as choosing colors for the background and the grid, or choosing alternating colors for the rows. To format the font in a table, highlight the cells that you want to format and select from the options in the formatting panel. Arrows and shapes can also be added to a report. And for rectangles, the formatting options include selecting a fill color, selecting a border color and style, and also locking the aspect ratio before resizing. And finally, external images can be imported by clicking the Import Picture icon and locating the file. A special type of text box, called a keyword text box, can also be added. To add a keyword text box, click on the icon, then click and drag on the page to define the text box, then select the file and drag it into the text box. This will open a window showing all of the metadata within the file, listed by keyword and value. Make a selection of the keywords you want added to your report, and then drag them into the text box on the page. This will then fill the box with those specific keywords. I will now demonstrate some of the arranging and aligning functions, and to do this, I will add a selection of dot plots to the page and move one to the right hand side. After selecting them all, in one click I can distribute them evenly and align them to the top. When they are all highlighted, I can move them together, or alternatively, I can group them. And this allows for all plots to be resized together. If you wish to maintain each plot as a square, lock the aspect ratios before grouping. Select and then click the ungroup icon in order to separate the items. Next to the grouping icons are the ordering icons. To demonstrate these, I will create a rectangle, and as this is the most recent item to be created, it sits on top of the other items. But by selecting it and then clicking Send Backwards, I can place it behind this particular dot plot. The last two icons in this panel allow horizontal and vertical guides to be added to the page. Multiple guides can be added in either direction, and click and drag to move these guides. There is also a small magnetic element associated with the guides to help with alignment. Finally, click on a guide and press Delete to remove it. I will now demonstrate the copy and paste functions. So here, I will add 4 plots, distribute and align them, and now if I select them all, choose Copy, add a new page, I can paste the selection to the same position on this second page. This time, instead of copy, I will select and click Clone, and it will paste a copy and offset it on the same page. Finally, if I select an item and click Cut, it will remove it, allowing it to be pasted to a new location. The copying and pasting of settings can save a lot of time when building a report. And to demonstrate this, I will add 3 graphs, and as I did with the dot plots, I will select them all, distribute them horizontally, and then align them. Now, if I change the first graph in terms of its size, the position of the labels, the color and size of the title, the angle of the x-axis labels, and even the graph type. Now, if I want the other 2 graphs to look the same, I can select the first graph, copy the settings, select the other graphs, and paste the settings. With respect to graphs, there are a few elements that aren't copied as part of the settings, such as the graph title itself and the group colors. And this is because you can copy the settings from one graph to another where there are different numbers of groups, and also you don't want to have all of your graphs with the same title. It is also possible to copy the settings from one item and paste them to all similar items in a selection of documents. To demonstrate this, I will create 2 new reports and add a different graph to each report. Now here on the third document, if I change the settings for this one graph, I can copy the settings, select all 3 documents, and then paste the settings to all 3 documents. And you can see that all graphs across the 3 documents now look the same. I will now demonstrate the Plot Stat Table feature in the toolbar. This stat table relates to the specific calculation of statistics for each individual plot, and this is set up in the plot side window in GateLogic. So you can see the specific statistics that have been calculated here, and this is the table that will be added to the report. So now back in DocLogic, if we import a plot, select it, and then click Add in the toolbar, the stat table is displayed directly beneath the plot. And this table can be freely moved and formatted using the options in the formatting panel. Alternatively, by selecting the On Insert option in the toolbar, the table is automatically included when a plot is added to the report, and these two items are grouped. So in this instance, ungroup the plot before moving or formatting using the formatting panel. This method, using the Add Table on Insert option, can be very useful when adding multiple plots at once. The last option in the toolbar is the grid setting. To demonstrate how this works, I will take 16 plots from my first 4 samples, and when added to the page, these will be tiled. But instead of using the aligning and distributing features, I will define my grid, in this case 4 by 4, and click Apply. The grid dimensions can be changed and reapplied, in this case an 8 by 4 grid, even if there aren't enough plots to fill the page. And if there are too many plots for the size of the grid, then additional pages are created to accommodate the extra plots. However, if a new setting creates extra space, plots aren't moved from one page back to the original. There is also an option to add elements to a grid on Insert. To do this, tick the On Insert option in the toolbar, and now, when items are added to a report, they are placed in a grid defined by the horizontal and vertical settings. To export a report, select the document and click on the Export Document icon, and the exported file will take its name from the document name within DocLogic. And we can see this here, where the newly created PDF file is called Report 1. Multiple reports can be exported at once by again selecting the documents, clicking the Export Document icon and clicking Save. And here we can see 2 new PDFs have been created, titled Report 2 and Report 3.